To my surprise, Monica squeezes my hand and shuffles closer to me. Monica?
You're like the first guy I've met that actually listens to me. That takes my problems seriously. And
She pauses for a moment.
you let me be me.
Tears well up in Monica's eyes again, but this time they are accompanied by a smile. God, how I've missed that smile. I squeeze Monica's hand in return. There's been something I've wanted to tell you. For a while now. Her smile doesn't leave her face. The look in her eyes makes it known that she has realized I'm using the words she spoke to me at the cafe. Well, the truth is that I
love you, Hallie.
Monica finishes my sentence.
I tried to understand it so many times. Believe me, I wanted to tell you a long time ago, but I couldn't understand my own feelings. It sounds crazy. But before I met you, it felt like a piece of me was missing.
Monica moves her hand from mine up to my cheek.
It wasn't until I met you that I figured out what piece that was. What that piece was, is what it said.
To say I'm stunned would be an understatement. I had only just figured out that Monica... I had no idea that her affection for me ran this deep. Monica, I'm barely able to get my words out. However, I'm soon able to regain myself and pull her into a tight embrace. I love you too, Monica. That's the only thought of mine I can put into words. It's nothing compared to what just poured out of her mouth, but how could I possibly compare to that? I can't put into words how deeply I care about you. Monica hums gently.
Say, how long have you been into me?
Oh, her sudden question takes me a little off guard, but I can be honest with her, rather. Since second year. You always made English class worth going through. She giggles softly. And you?
To be honest,
she ponders.
Around 2 months after we met. Maybe a month and a half.
How does she manage to be this adorable, even after her sobs from earlier? We stay in each other's arms for a few more moments. It feels as if the world around us is frozen in place, allowing us both to take in this moment. The slightly blustery winds don't faze us. The distant sounds of the city are eclipsed by the thumping sounds of my heart. There aren't many words between us, but it doesn't matter in the slightest. This blissful silence is what we needed. It feels like an eternity before I speak again. I think we should start getting back before the others come looking for us.
I know. If I could spend the rest of the day up here with you, I wouldn't mind that one bit.
Me neither. I feel Monica burrow her head deeper into my shoulder. Neither of us want this moment to end. But, of course, the rest of the club's waiting for us. We release each other, smiling brightly. So I guess that makes us a couple now? Monica nods.
I wouldn't want it any other way.
What do you want to tell the others? She thinks for a bit.
I think the club's had enough shock for one day. Could we maybe keep it between us for the time being?
Given everything that's happened to Earth today, I understand her request. I take her hand firmly in mine and squeeze it. We can go at whatever pace you want, Monica.
Thank you.
Hand in hand, we then walk back down into the corridor. The walk back towards the clubroom carries a loving silence. Luckily for us, we didn't bump into many students during our walk. Phew. Ugh. The ones we did walk past, though, didn't seem to notice us, being more focused on the school's festivities. Before we reach the clubroom door, Monica lets go of my hand and glances through the door's glass pane. How's everyone in there?
Sayori's pacing around the room, Yuri's reading, and Natsuki's asleep. Well, that's what it looks like anyway. Or, that's what it looks anyway.
I'm wondering if this isn't like a dialect thing, because I keep noticing on occasion where like small words are missing, and I can't help but just wonder if like folks around the mod developers parts just talk that way. I don't know. She's starting to seem like her usual self again. After all the tears, it's a welcome return. You want to head in?
After you, Hallie.
I then opened the door to let us in. Yeah, see there. Door let us in. They dropped the 2. Why? Monica's earlier observation had proven to be correct. Judging by the lack of decorations, it seems, or if seems, they had been quite busy. That F needs to be a T. That it definitely goes some ways to explain Natsuki's little snooze. Hey, finally... Oh, I was going to say they spelled it right, but they actually just forgot a letter. It needs an I where the A would have been if they had misspelled it. As soon as the door closes, Sayori looks in mine and Monica's direction and walks over.
Hallie, Monica.
There's a noticeable concern in Sayori's voice. We weren't gone too long, were we?
You two were gone for like 20 minutes. What happened?
Guess that answers my question. I go to answer, but Monica beats me to it.
I got overwhelmed and started. When Hallie found me, I was crying.
Monica then looks over at me, smiling sincerely.
We talked it over, and I guess I took it too personally.
It's nothing, really. You just needed someone to talk to, and I'm just glad I could be there for you. I failed to contain the smile on my face.
Could you guys keep it down?
Natsuki yawns from her desk. Monica goes over to her, presumably to wake her up. Noticing mine and Monica's return, Yuri comes up to Sayori and I. Of course I don't need to yawn. Or whenever Natsuki's yawning.
You were gone for a while. A part of me even considered you'd both ditched us and gone home.
Where would that idea have ever come from? Rather. Judging by the look on Sayori's face, it seems as if the same thought might have crossed her mind, too. No, Yuri. I found her on the roof, and I just felt it right to comfort her, I suppose. I need to keep my promise to Monica. Sayori gives me an earnest smile. There's an A in earnest. Yuri does the same, but looks to the side as she does so.
My, that sounds awfully romantic.
If only she knew. All I can do is nervously laugh off that comment as I scratch the back of my neck. If things had played out a bit differently, maybe Monica would have wanted to tell the rest of the club straight away. Maybe not. What do I know? As she said, the club's had enough surprises for one day. I'll talk to her about it later. Natsuki and Monica eventually rejoin us. Natsuki herself looks like she needs an energy drink just to fully wake her up.
Now, I know the festival wasn't what we were hoping for. But I think I've come up with something that'll make it up.
The other girls look at Monica with expectant eyes.
I know this nice little place in town. You know where I'm on about.
Monica looks towards Sayori and Natsuki. The spark in their eyes lets both her and I know that they remember the cafe. Yuri looks a little lost, though.
Trust me, Yuri, you're gonna love it. I'm sure I will, Natsuki. With that said, just wait outside the school gates for me. I'll be right with you. Just gotta lock up first.
The girls then go their separate ways to Seizing the moment, I quickly go over to Monica. Hey!
Hey!
We both keep our voices low to not get anyone else's attention. You sure about going to the cafe?
Of course. I think we all deserve to relax after today.
I get that, don't worry. We smile in silence for a minute or two.
When we get more time alone again, I promise I'll make it up to you. You really gave me a reason to smile today, Hallie.
This is something I'm gonna have to get used to, isn't it? I gently give her hand a slight squeeze. Goodness. I'll see you outside.
In a bit.
I quickly collect my bag and follow Sayori out the door. She does give me a sly look as if she knows something's going on between Monica and I. I really wish I could tell Sayori, but until Monica's ready to go public, these lips will remain sealed. How respectful of her feelings. The walk to the cafe was a long and relatively quiet one. Monica and I mostly trailed behind the others, occasionally getting a hold on each other's hands. I can honestly say that if Sayori, Natsuki, and Yuri weren't with us, we might have been a bit more confident in showing our affection. But that's something that can always happen on another day, right? As soon as we got in the cafe, Monica excused herself from the rest of the group as she needed to use the bathroom. As the rest of us sit down and get comfy, I find myself stuck in a daydream. I didn't think this day could get crazier than the event, but thankfully I was wrong. It's probably going to take some time for it to actually cement itself in my head that Monica is my girlfriend.
So, about you and Monica, Hallie?
Natsuki stammers, knocking me out of my dreamland. Huh?
When's the wedding?
She asks that with a mix of snark and sass that only Natsuki can pull off. Words. My eyes widen. Sayori. My stammering got cut off. Click it.
I shivered.
Yuri nods in agreement. I'm at a loss for words. Natsuki and Sayori were already aware of mine and Monika's feelings for each other, but even Yuri seemed to notice now. Was it that obvious? That's the only response I can give. Natsuki chuckles.
Bet you're practically drooling over her during club.
Surely it's not as bad as Natsuki's making it out to be. I don't even have time to respond as Yuri starts talking.
To be honest, I've been noticing how close you two get most meetings. In English class as well, Monica and I tend to talk. Mostly about classwork and club, but she does talk about you a fair bit as well. Personally speaking, I get the impression that she truly cares about you.
Yuri smiles gently.
Just my feeling about that, though. I do think she'd be very lucky if someone like you were to feel that way about her.
I can't help but blush as my head falls against the table. Much like the first time she said that, Yuri's phrasing makes me think she's trying to hint towards something else. The curious look on Sayori and Natsuki's face tells me that they have the same suspicions.
Seriously, you two need to get together already. The suspense is killing me.
Hey, or look not, I think after today Monica doesn't need the extra stress. None of us do. Why is it so hard to hold in the truth? It's so hard? The look in her eye tells me she doesn't like being called not. If we were still in school, that would have been one swift jab in the gut for me. Thankfully for me, it seems out of the club that she'd rather avoid that scenario. Not to mention, I'm not particularly in the mood for a smacked face right now.
Look, chicken shit, you ask her out or not?
I smirk. I'd prefer just keeping you in suspense. It's my turn to be a smartass.
Damn you!
Our little exchange seems to liven Sayori and Yuri's spirits a little. Out the corner of my eye, I see Monica making her longer than expected return to the group. There you are. I smile at her and she smiles back as she takes her seat next to me.
Sorry I took so long. I just needed a moment to myself.
As Monica sits down next to me, I notice some slight wet patches under her eyes. It's clear that she's been crying again. I can't imagine today's been easy, especially with everything that's going on. Judging by the looks on the faces of the other girls, they've noticed it as well, though they don't say anything. Either for Monica's sake or just to not make the situation uncomfortable, I'm still unsure. The whole time at the cafe seems to, as Monica had hoped, help everyone relax a bit. However, whenever the other three were distracted, Monica would entwine her fingers with mine and give me a small but still very loving smile. I remember her saying that I had given her a reason to smile today. Well, let's just say that feeling is very much mutual. Oh, I didn't skip a line, did I? I was spacing out a little. Eventually, we left the cafe. Natsuki and Yuri went their separate ways, and I ended up walking home with Sayori and Monica. Separate. We soon find ourselves outside Sayori's house.
I guess I'll see you tomorrow.
See ya, Sayo.
Have a good evening.
Sayori makes it towards her house and heads inside, leaving Monica and I all alone as we make the short trip home. Monica grips my hands with the same loving firmness as earlier and looks deep into my eyes.
Thanks for today. It's still surreal to me that we're a couple now. I just hope I'll be worth the wait.
She chuckles nervously. I move my hands from hers and wrap my arms around her waist, pulling her closer. You're already worth more than I thought I deserved, Monica. My words help that gorgeous smile of hers return. She also wraps her arms around my waist. We remain lost in each other's eyes for a while until she speaks up again.
I want to try and see how the rest of the week goes for us. Maybe I'm on Friday we could possibly go public.
In that case, do you want to eat lunch on the roof tomorrow? Monica giggled softly and her eyes moved to the side. Her eyes meet mine again just as quickly.
I'd love that. The more time I get to spend with you, the better, Hallie.
We then pull each other into a tight embrace.
Your hugs are so warm.
I feel as if I've heard this before. So are you. I probably could have, read that, huh? We remain like this for a few minutes. I know you'll probably get tired of me saying this, but I love you.
Don't be silly, Hallie. I love you too.
We soon release each other.
I'll text you when I get home.
Get home safely.
I will.
Monica then starts walking home, and I let myself inside. Yeah, don't mind me, dear viewer, just spacing out something fierce. Upon shutting the door, I collapsed on the couch with a stupid grin on my face. Never in a million years did I ever expect to be with Monica. I guess I kinda counted on her being a friend, but you can never truly tell how people feel inside. I learned that myself a long time ago. My phone then vibrates, and I quickly fetch it out of my pocket. A text from Mom! I quickly swipe my screen to read it. It's just a text saying that she should be back a bit earlier tonight. I think to myself. I know Monica said she wanted to wait for a bit before being more public, but I should be alright to tell my mom, right? I decided to call her. Ring ring.
Oh, hey, Hallie.
Hi, I just got your text.
How'd the festival go?
The question I was kind of dreading. That dread would be greater if Monica hadn't been there to brighten my day. I sighed lightly, rather. Well, it didn't go exactly as planned. But at least something got me smiling.
Oh.
Her inquisitive yet gentle tones make me feel a little more at ease with telling her. Well, I got a girlfriend.
Aw, congrats. What's her name?
Monica, she's the president of the literature club I told you about. I'm proud of you, I really am. Oh, that was my mom saying that. Oh my god.
I'm proud of you, I really am.
Thanks. I can't stop smiling. I'll tell you more when you get back.
No worries. See you tonight.
See ya. I put the phone down. That's gonna be one interesting talk tonight. Monica's bedroom. Later that night. Right, Hallie, it's Monica. Don't go talking in your normal voice now.
With one final text, both Hallie and I wish each other good night. I collapse on my bed, holding my phone against my chest. I haven't been this happy in so long. Much like yesterday, Mom noticed my cheer. Of course, I told her about Hallie. I didn't tell her about the festival until Dad came back and asked about it. I did tell him about Hallie. He didn't seem to react much. I suppose it's better than what he usually says to me. I wish I didn't have to lie to either of them about the festival going well. If Dad wasn't here, I could confide in Mom about it. Maybe one day I will. At least Hallie's already made my week better. I can sleep easy knowing that.
It's finally Friday. We skipped Tuesday through Thursday. Aside from me and Monica getting together, it's been a fairly standard week. In all fairness, the hardest part for either of us was not letting our relationship out during the club. We have a habit of saving all the lovey-dovey stuff for texts, the occasional calls, and the school rooftop. There's been times where we've almost kissed, but it hasn't actually happened yet. We're a new couple, so obviously there's going to be a wait before that happens. We're not characters in some high schoolers' rushed fanfiction after all. As for the rest of the club, Siri seems to be keeping her eyes on both of us in a way that makes me think she's planning something. Yuri's as polite and timid as always, still seeming a little more lively whenever her and I have any time alone. Natsuki, however, has doubled down on her teasing. Honestly, there's been times where I've been this close to letting our secret slip. How I've been held it in all this time amazes even me. I get into my morning routine not long after waking up. As I wash in the shower, I think back to Monica. I don't think I've smiled this much in a while. If anything, I should probably thank her for that. Eventually, I decide to get out before my skin gets too wrinkled. As I'm waiting for my toast, my phone starts to ring. To my delight, it's Monica. I answer almost immediately. Gotta make sure my toast doesn't burn like yesterday.
Morning.
Or, no, that's me. Morning, love!
Morning to you, too. You sleep well?
Honestly, yeah. I've been getting better sleep these past few days.
Same here.
We both share a bit of laughter as I take a few bites from my breakfast.
Say, I was thinking, if I leave mine now, I should have enough time to get to yours and still get to school on time. Would you want to walk to school together?
I'd always humored that idea, but I was still a little nervous to actually ask her. Though saying that reminds me. Oh? What happens on Let's Keep It Between Us Two, eh? Monica giggles through the phone.
Well, I did some thinking, and maybe I wouldn't mind trying to be more open about it.
I find myself smiling even more than I already was. I mean, I was just teasing. But if you really want to, I'm more than happy with that.
Thanks, Hallie.
Also, I'd love to walk with you.
I'll be there soon.
In a bit. Love you.
Love you too.
She hangs up. I decide to wait outside for her.